This Panthers Corner is brought to you by Blow the Whistle Sports. What's up, Cali Cat Pack? What's up, Angel City Riot? What's up, Roaring Riot? We back up in here for another Panthers Corner, and I want you guys to give a warm welcome to my good friend Patrick Nagel. How you doing, sir?
Well, we had football, so
Hey, I saw the deep breath. I saw it.
well, we had football. So let's start with the good.
Before we get into that,
We had football.
we got to talk about this Hall of Fame, Luke Kuechly, our good brother, Panther, forever for life, has been inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir.
That felt so good, so much emotion. He deserved it. I love Luke Kuechly. He brought everything. And I am not too much of a man to tell you when he had his issue on the field and he couldn't control the crying. I was messed up for a couple weeks. Probably shed a couple tears that day because it had me in such a way. But you guys drop in the comments. Let us know how you felt about it that day. But not to shade anything from his Hall of Fame, but this showing you how much love we have for the guy, the legend, the myth, Luke Kuechly, and for him to get that gold coat, it's amazing. Carolina forever. We got our pure blood Panther in there. You know what I mean?
He's the first, right? He's the first.
Peppers had to come back, right?
Right. And Peppers played for the Bears and the Packers, and
and
obviously Sam Mills started his career elsewhere, but
Peppers started here, and I don't know what it was. What maybe it was management problem when it came to Peppers. Not to get off Luke Kuechly, but I will never understand. That's a major question I'm gonna ask Peppers one day when I finally meet him. How could you leave a place where you're Superman to go some other place and be Robin or I don't get it.
You got a couple $100 million to go do that, but
true. But they was paying them through the nose in Carolina.
Nah, not that much. But I think at the end of the day, there's something special about a guy like Luke who, when you see him just walking around or being interviewed, he just looks like one of us, just like a dude, and then when he steps onto the field, suddenly he's everywhere and he's the Tasmanian devil and he's, tackling dudes nonstop and, 22 tackles in a game and just his cerebral ability and everything he put into it. But he was, and still is, my favorite Panther of all time.
Right.
And it's going to take a lot for someone to come along and knock him off that spot. Just in how he, as a human being, was never bigger than the team. It was never about Luke. It was always about, the 53 men in the locker room and the community. And that day when he was crying on the field, that hurt me too, because you knew something was wrong. And
he didn't know he was even crying. He didn't understand what was going on. And that just, that had me all choked up.
And for him to retire at so young, and I mean, when we think about it, it's crazy. I mean, he's the second youngest member of the Hall of Fame of all time. Right now, he's 34 years old. I mean, as we sit right now, meaning he's been out of the NFL for all these years and in the Hall of Fame, and he's still 34, younger than a lot of guys that are still playing today. So, a very emotional weekend for sure, but mostly just because one of us and one of the good guys, is in the Hall of Fame. And you talk about like good human beings and never having to worry about anything off the field with that guy. I mean, the guy was nothing but a consummate class act and professional and still is. And, the fact that he's coaching 8th grade football with Greg Olson and Jonathan Stewart and Todd Blackwood. Sorry. It's just amazing to me. Just what that is about how he doesn't take himself so serious, right? I mean, he's coaching 8th grade football so he can help coach Greg's kids.
And I want to add, he could have still played in the NFL. I'm glad he didn't because his health was worth more to me than him putting himself in a situation he couldn't get out of. He couldn't back out of. Now he's dialed down. He's like you, eighth grade coach right now, and I'm happy for him. Full of life. I didn't want to see him in a wheelchair or something,
No,
giving it his all because he has fresh legs.
for sure.
People, this
Hey,
guy was a beast on the field, and I know that animal is still burning within him. But I'm glad he had the foresight to be like, you know what, I got to think about my family
but,
first. You know.
but it's interesting, to make an analogy for him. His greatest attribute was his brain, right? How smart he
Yes.
was and able to decipher the plays and the formations and put himself in position to make the play. But even in retirement, it's his brain that helped him make the greatest decision for him. As
Yeah.
much as selfishly I wanted to still see him on the field, right? His greatest
You and me
weapon,
both.
his
Yeah.
greatest weapon was his ability to say, I think I'm done. And that just also tells you that he had more depth to him than just football. And and although he was amazing at football, that his life wasn't just football, and he gets a lot of contentment from other things. And I'm excited for him. I'm excited that he's still involved in Charlotte and around the team, and now he's going to be the Netflix color commentator for this upcoming season. We're going to get to
Yeah.
hear from him, and I think that's going to be a treat to a lot of people in the country that maybe really don't know that much about him, or really know how just smart he is. And I mean, we've had the luxury as Panther fans to see him around and hear him on Panthers radio, and do different things with the Panthers. So we really know how what he knows about breaking down film and talking about the game. I'm excited for the rest of the country to know what we've known for the better part of this last 13, 14 years.
Yes.
And it's almost like they're just going to start to get to know him, and I think that's going to be kind of a cool thing
He's a stand-up guy.
for
And
sure.
from here, Panthers Corner, Patrick Nagel, Wayne Holloway, we love you, Luke Kuechly. And I'm glad that you still do things with our team.
Yeah,
He it's so much I can say, but
he just makes
ah,
you proud, right? I mean, he's
yes,
everything that when
yes, that warm
you
feeling. Even when you
something that
said he's
represents.
done, you said it, and it's still like
Yeah,
that realization just hit. This
I
is it's
mean,
amazing.
when you talk about someone who represents your franchise, right? That's the guy, right?
Yeah,
And I can make this analogy because he is a dyed in the wool fan, but as a Golden,
right.
Steph Curry, right? Who is just this amazing human being, and when you're like, wow, what a great ambassador for my franchise and the team that I love. That's Luke. I mean,
Yeah,
Luke is that guy. And so
yes.
no, I'm excited, proud of you, Luke. Thanks for the memories. And like I said, I am so happy and excited for everyone else in the country to get to see what we've already known for a long time. So because I have a feeling you're going to start to see people, oh wow, this Luke Kuechly guy, he's smart and he's such a great
Yes.
broadcaster, and he knows so much about the game. It's like, yeah, we've been telling you that forever, but you just weren't listening. So
Hey,
um,
well, we got to see it, and now we get to share them with the world.
that's
But
right.
um, moving on to other things that I know that's pressing on our minds. Yes, Patrick saw the game today. I refused to watch the game. I heard the highlights. I don't need to see something terrible. I don't need to see something terrible. I understand people, and Patrick watched the game, so
I
I want
did.
to hear from him. Go ahead,
Yeah.
lay it out, and since I didn't watch it, I'm gonna take all your highlights and I'm gonna listen to everything you saying,
Well,
and I'm gonna come at the end.
I'm gonna I'm gonna like preface it everything preface preface preference everything I'm about to say with this,
Mhm,
and that is it was a preseason game and it looked a lot like a preseason game. Unlike the Hall of Fame game last week, where it actually looked like a pretty competitive game. The game had good flow. Both teams were coming out and doing some interesting things. This game did not have that. It looked more like guys had tired legs.
mhm,
So we didn't. Carolina, our second game, Buffalo's first game, we just didn't look that great. Now again, it's preseason. I don't know. We Bryce Young played nine total plays.
mhm.
He was 3 for 5 and had 18 yards. So not exactly, we had 3 3 and outs with the first team offense on the field. Now, I'm going to caveat that by saying we weren't starting either of our starting guards,
Mm-hmm.
and our starting center wasn't in the game either. So our running game didn't really get much going, and our passing game, we looked mediocre. All that being said, there were some things in there that I took away from that, and that
Mm-hmm.
is that although protection wasn't the best and our running game wasn't the best, and the deep, and Buffalo was opening their brand new stadium, Highmark Stadium and all
Yeah.
that today. So they had a lot of passion and the crowd was going crazy. The first time that their fans got to be in their new, multi-billion-dollar stadium. Bryce didn't look rattled at all, and he threw the ball away when he needed to, and he took the check down that was available to him. Uh, it just we just didn't look clean. On when Buffalo had the ball, they looked amazing. I mean, Kyle Allen and Josh Allen combined for 20 for 24 with 219 yards and a touchdown. Um, that being said, our defensive scheme looked pretty vanilla. It didn't look like we were doing a whole lot of it, much of like multiple coverages or anything like that. But there were some
Nothing
highlights
exotic.
and there were some highlights in the game, and I don't want to like say it was all bad. And here's a couple of things that I took away from the game. Jalen Phillips had a sack and 2 pressures in his 5 plays. So
Right.
he played 5 plays and had a sack and had 2 pressures on the quarterback. Princeton Human Allen had a sack and had 3 pressures in his 18 plays. And really, for me in the first 2 games, the highlight of all the highlights, other than Haynes King in the first game, he did not play today, has been an undrafted wide receiver that spent last year on our practice squad. His name is Jasim Reed. And he's making, if you read any of the training camp information or dailies, he's making play after play after play in camp.
Yes.
And he's played 2 games and got 2 receiving touchdowns and looks pretty good. Now, that's going to be not a lot of extra room for receivers on our roster, but he's definitely making a case. So I do want to kind of calm everyone down.
Please.
It is a preseason game. Um, it's clear we didn't game plan for the game, which by the way is not uncommon for
Not at
teams
all.
not to game plan for a preseason game. Here's the highlights of the stats. Total yards: Buffalo had 396, Carolina 200. Passing yards: Buffalo 245, Carolina 140. Rushing yards: 151 for Buffalo, 61 for Carolina. The big telling tale was the time of possession, and that is Buffalo had the ball for 33 minutes and we had it for 26. So we just didn't really have a lot of opportunities. You could tell as the game was going on, we tried to get our offense engaged. And after the second 3 and out, he put the offense back in for the third series. That series they went on third down. Bryce had a wide open guy in the flat. The guy was blitzing up the corner. Guy deflected the ball. So we elected to punt again. Again, Bryce was 3 for 5. Kenny Pickett had a pretty decent day, 16 and 19 for 100 yards and a touchdown. We brought in Kyle Trask, who we just signed a couple of days ago because Haynes King wasn't available to play this game because he had a little tightness in his hamstring. Kyle Trask looked okay, and then he threw a god awful interception right to the guy. I don't know what that was about. It
Right.
was supposed to be a screenplay, but you know, listen, it's preseason. We had an amazing high on week 1. This was not anything to write home about, not to get excited about. It was unlike most preseason game. Like the Hall of Fame game was very watchable and entertaining game for preseason,
Right.
which is pretty rare. Today's game was back to the normal preseason, it was just unwatchable. It really was. It was just boring, and both teams were pretty vanilla. Couple of other things. Former Panther DJ Moore looked really, really amazing in the Buffalo offense,
As I knew
partnering
he
with
would.
with Josh Allen. Former Panther Austin Corbett looks like he's going to win the starting left guard job. Um, and there was lots of other little things there, but Josh Allen looked in midseason form, 6 of 8, 111 yards, and he was just seemingly standing back there all day until
That's
uh,
Josh.
Phillips, Jalen got in the game and then made a couple of sacks. So there was some things to take away. There were some other things that could probably burn the film and not watch it, but wasn't our most outstanding game. But it is preseason.
Right. And I thank you for that. You watched the game. I didn't, and I'm not going to watch the game. Um, it's preseason. Preseason, they get people ready that's not ready, and they run plays that they didn't do good in practice or plays that they look good in practice to see how it runs against a team. I
Yeah.
played football for many different teams. Didn't play at a high level, but how coaches do things is they get in there and whatever their offense is weak with, that's what they like to show. It's preseason. They want their offense to be put to shame on running something well or and being able to identify the mistakes on video in the practice room. Now, all these sites, all the other clubs. My goodness, you should have seen these headlines.
Well, I saw a bunch.
Relax, guys. Relax. I know you guys don't like Bryce Young. I get it. I get it. And guess what? Patrick, both, we love Carolina. And no matter who's at the helm, which is Bryce Young right now, we're gonna stand behind our guys. And once we see there's a problem, then we'll start speaking up on it. But there's nothing to be down on, like you guys have been down on him since week one, season one. Bryce Young, in my opinion, will be fine. And even if he's not, we our team will be the better anyway. Had to upgrade
Yeah.
this team. They gutted our team. So to all you Bryce Young lovers, we love Bryce Young because we love the Carolina Panthers. And we want to see the Carolina Panthers succeed because that's our team. So we're not moving on. The house spent all the house money on Bryce Young. Yes, they're going to develop Bryce Young. So, and how football sent Madden for hissy fit, it doesn't work where, oh, take him out. No, they spent all the house money on Bryce Young. We're going to put our best foot forward. Yes, they went and got him weapons. Yes. Now we have to see our investment pay off.
There's a couple other things too that people need to kind of keep in mind, right? And that is, we have a couple secret secret weapons, right? And that one of those is that we have a new play caller this year, so no one really knows how he's going to call plays, right?
Yes.
And if he goes in game plans and tips his hand in the preseason, he gives away our advantage for the first couple of weeks, right? So we need to keep it simple, right? We're not game planning. We don't know what Buffalo's scheming for, nor do we care. To your point, we want to work on a couple of these plays. We want to look at a couple of these plays. We want to see,
Exactly.
we want to see how they work, against a defense versus the air or our own defense. And it just didn't happen today. And
I like the way you
um,
said, not and people, we didn't want to show any other team what we were trying to run. So therefore, this is going to be like a brand new slate for Bryce Young. People think they know his tendencies.
mhm,
A good OC, brand new, is going to switch things up. So you don't know
yeah,
what's going to happen.
you
So it's
don't
going to be
understand
like
our
year
formation.
one with the new OC, week
Yeah,
one.
yeah, you don't understand our formation alignment and how those things are going to build off each other. Football, NFL level football, it's always a chess game, right? Like
Right.
the players are top of the food chain. The coaches are top of the food chain. There's not a dumb coach in the NFL. There's not a bad coach in the NFL. You may not like some of the calls they play, or
Right.
you may not like some of the things that are going on, but they didn't get that job because they're not good at it, and so the part of that chess game is not tipping your hand too early or giving things away or showing your tendencies or your formational alignments and how you want to improve or change off of last year. um so there's a lot of those things. Keep in mind, Dave Canales has been our play caller the last 2 years. He is
Right.
no longer the play caller. Brad's going to
Thank
have his
goodness.
own identity, his own style, his own rhythm, and we don't want to let everybody know what we're doing. Before we need to let them know. And week one they're going to let them know, and week one we'll see what we have. But right now, I think everyone needs to take a deep breath and take a pause. I saw some things on a couple of Panther super fan things, and I want to kind of piggyback on something you said, which was, listen, it's not that I love Bryce Young or hate Bryce Young. It's that I want my team to win. And so
Yeah.
a part of that is I want my quarterback to be successful.
You want him
Um,
to look good also, I
yeah,
know.
of course. I mean, I love it. I'd love for Bryce to look. I think Bryce is by all accounts, I don't know the man, but when I hear him talk, he seems like he's just another example of a wonderful human being who is all about the team. And I don't imagine a time that we're ever going to hear about Bryce Young getting in trouble out in town or anything like that. So
Stand-up guy.
let's let him continue to grow, and let's support him, and the play will dictate what happens into the future. And listen, whether we like it or not, whether all the fans out there that are you know ready to run him out of town, we have him for 2 more seasons, this season and the
Yes,
season
put your
after.
pitchforks down.
Yeah, everyone take a breath.
We
Like,
played with house money,
yeah,
and we bet the
he's here.
farm. We bet the farm. Understand, we bet
We did.
the farm.
Yeah,
We're
we did.
gonna see our investment, whether it flies or it goes down, we're gonna see
Yeah,
it through. They bet the farm.
they
To the
did.
people that don't understand that, that means we put all our chips in. We went all in. And
Yeah,
the
we
flip
just
side
so
of that
everybody
coin,
knows, we gave up three
Buffalo
number
Bills
ones. We gave up three number ones, DJ Moore, and a number
exactly.
two
Yes.
for that pick.
Yeah,
So,
but what I wanted to say about the Buffalo Bills,
yeah,
they're the mountain team. They're on the high. Playing us, yes, they were gonna come in and try to boss hog like they did, because they have to have a certain look for them to feel the way they need to feel to get their season started off. And I don't understand you guys like, why wouldn't we want to do that? Because we don't want to tip our hand
but we already did that
first
though.
first game of the season
But we already did that. We had our first preseason game of the season. We already had
and
that.
look good.
Yeah, and we did. And Buffalo hasn't had that yet. And again, opening their new stadium, right? New head coach
Bunch of emotion.
in an interesting situation, right?
Right.
99% of the time when a coach is getting replaced is because the team sucks. Buffalo hasn't sucked. They just haven't gone from AFC Championship game to the Super Bowl. So they're right here, and they're just looking for that little push over.
Honestly, I don't think that their coach should have got fired, but
I
hey,
don't either, but
that, that's not. I'm
um,
not in that.
and let's not forget Joe Brady, the coach of the Buffalo Bills, was our offensive coordinator when Matt Rule came to town. So, and then Joe Brady got scapegoated by Matt Rule when I think that shouldn't have happened. I mean, I think Joe Brady was a phenomenal play caller, and then he goes to
Right.
Buffalo and he becomes a phenomenal play caller. And it's not that he suddenly became that. I'm being facetious. He just went to a better situation with the real quarterback, and suddenly, he's like the wonderkin of offense. Well, he was
I blame
before,
Matt Rule for that whole situation, but I get it.
for sure. So, lots of, no secret. There's relationships between Buffalo and Carolina. A lot of former players, a lot of former
Yeah,
GM
they're,
people on
they're,
both
they're like
spots.
little Carolina over there in Buffalo. To
Yeah,
be
yeah.
honest with
Well,
you,
I would almost say we're a little Buffalo because they've had more success. But Brandon Beane was he's the general manager of Buffalo. He was the assistant general manager in Carolina. Joe Brady was our offensive coordinator. Now he's the head coach there.
there were our
So
players that,
yeah,
and our coaching staff that went there. That's why they're little
yeah.
Carolina,
Well,
not
yeah.
little Buffalo, little
Sean
Carolina,
McDermott was
because
our
they,
defensive
they
coordinator.
exactly
Uh,
they took pieces from us to make that, to show you in a different managerial situation, we look wonderful. Go
well,
figure.
it also goes back to show, when we had Ron, and we talked about this on Blow the Whistle the other night.
Yes,
When you become a good team and you're consistently good, then other teams come and steal your coordinators because they want a piece of that rub off.
right.
Sean McDermott was our defense coordinator under Ron Rivera. We have a couple good seasons. Buffalo comes along and takes Sean
It
to be
happened.
there to be uh, um, um,
their head coach.
the head coach, and now things are going not so well for him as he got let go. But
He'll get another job. He'll get
and I
another
don't
job.
yeah, oh, I think he'll be the top of the list to get a job next year,
Bounce
right?
back.
So, but all in all, back to the Panthers. One, relax. Two, um, when you watch a preseason game, you really have to like kind of watch it for the positives, right?
Right.
And if you're expecting to win or for it to look sexy, then you haven't watched a lot of preseason football. Preseason football is not always
It's not sexy.
it's not
It's
pretty.
not sexy.
And
It's not.
we don't get a lot of great games, but I think that what to take away from it, we have 4 preseason football games this season because of the Hall of Fame game this year. I would
And we need it.
imagine that
We need it.
you'll see us probably ramp up a little bit more for next week's game. Maybe put in a little bit of a better game plan, or actually build a better game plan for the game. Probably starters will probably play a half, and then
Well, I wanna switch gears a little
yeah,
bit
yeah,
and true to form what you're saying, I'm not gonna look for anything until we, drop down to that 53-man roster, but with that being said, you watched the game today.
I did.
Did you see a wristband on Bryce Young? Did they give him plays where he can call audibles this year?
Well, no, but that doesn't, just because he doesn't have a wristband doesn't mean he's not going to call audibles. You don't. In fact, the wristband is for a lot of quarterbacks or for teams that like to call in multiple plays at one
Right.
time, and then they're able to kind of dictate. I think Bryce Young is actually a pretty smart
Okay.
dude, and I don't think he needs that. But today they seemed, like I said, they seemed pretty vanilla. They didn't. They seemed
Did they say anything about giving him any, audible powers this year?
Well, unfortunately, we were watching the Buffalo broadcast, so I couldn't.
Ah,
They were
ah,
pretty big homers for the Buffalo team, but
understandable, understandable.
but I think he has full autonomy to make those calls. I don't imagine he wouldn't. I think that there'll be more flexibility this year as he's more and more comfortable. I think that we have a lot of depth that we haven't had in years past. I
Right.
mean,
I feel comfortable. I feel
listen,
totally comfortable.
if you want to do something fun, I mean, let's go room by room, right? I mean, so let's start at the quarterback room, right? I mean,
Right,
um, uh, you have obviously our starting quarterback is going to be Bryce Young.
right.
Our backup quarterback for all intents and purposes is pretty set in stone, and Kenny Pickett. Now, Haynes King showed a lot in the Hall of Fame game that
Loved him,
he's
but it looked like he
something
put it all on the field that day.
that he's something
He
to
put it
really.
all out there.
He did, and he hurt his hamstring a little bit, but he'll be back next week.
Right.
He's making our team. I mean, so let's just call it what it is. So that's not a bad room.
Do you
And
like him over Kenny Pickett right now, or is it
personally,
too early to see?
I do. I do. Personally, I do.
Okay.
Now I say that because I loved him coming out of college. I really
I
wanted
remember
Haynes
you
King.
said that.
I really wanted Haynes King. I was surprised he didn't get drafted. Um, you know, I don't hate Kenny Pickett, but if Bryce, heaven forbid, were to get hurt, and we had to, Kenny Pickett has experience. He has a winning record in the NFL as a
Right,
starting quarterback. I think Haynes King still has a lot to learn, but I think as we sit today, obviously Kenny Pickett is the number 2 guy. I think if you and I are talking at the halfway mark of the season, that might be a different conversation as Haynes gets more and more
so you don't think Haynes
comfortable.
Kid did enough in that first game to push Kenny Pickett to 3rd and him to 2nd? 'Cause a lot of the forums are
Well,
saying that already. A
listen,
lot of people are saying he's making it.
he's making the team. I have no doubt about that. We wouldn't have signed
Understand
him
that.
to a 4-year contract as an undrafted free agent if he wasn't going to make the team. Let's just kind of eliminate that from the
That's smart
start.
signing right there.
100%. Now, did he do enough in one game? No, no. I
I'm
mean,
glad to hear you say that because so many people, they see some sparks and then they ready to jump and ready to go, let's do this, let's do that. And I was telling people, calm down. I like him too. I like him too, but don't get high off of a couple plays. Let's see it
yeah,
roll out and let's see it generically grow.
I mean, listen. I mean, Kenny Pickett again. Like he was 16 for 19 today. I
Right.
mean that's nothing to sneeze at. I mean,
Exactly.
so again, like I thought Kenny Pickett coming out of college was an interesting prospect. There was a lot of thought that he might be coming to Carolina, and it didn't happen. Obviously,
I wanted him to. I was
yeah,
rooting for him too, but when he went over to Pittsburgh, I'm a person that I see people and I see them operate, and even if they do bad someplace else, with him, I didn't see the that gusto that I like to see from quarterbacks like over there in the Giants with Scatterboo and
Jackson.
Dart. Dart, you can it
By the
exudes
way,
from him. Like
your boy Jackson Dart played awful today. Just so you know.
understandable,
he,
understandable,
he
but
he he tried a 360 pass and I don't know what he was thinking.
that's
Um,
that's called being young and dumb.
yeah, no, I
360
listen.
pass.
I think listen. I the lore of Haynes King, is long going to be talked about in Pantherland. But this is what I'm going to say about Haynes King. I give him time, and I think he's going to be a quality NFL quarterback.
100%.
We'll see what that means or how great he becomes. But if we had to start somebody tomorrow that wasn't named Bryce Young, it's Kenny Pickett, just based on experience, right? I
Right,
mean,
right. He knows the speed of the NFL already, and
and
he's
and
up
and
to
and, and
speed. He
he's going
knows
to
how
be
to
able
read
to
the
get in the
playbook.
huddle, run the play, all that stuff.
Yes,
So, now long term, I do expect that Haynes King will surpass Kenny Pickett. Let's not forget Kenny Pickett's on a 1 year deal, so he's a stopgap measure for us. Again, I hope we never see him on the field, and I don't mean that as an insult, but that just means Bryce Young is balling out, and we don't need him. So,
and which
uh,
he is, and like I said to
yeah,
all you naysayers, Bryce
yeah,
Young, he's gonna shock the world this
yeah.
NFL season,
Yeah, but if
period.
we go to the next room, we talk about running backs, right? We got Chuba, who is a very quality, I think top half of the league running back. Jonathan Brooks, who every
I wish you would have kept Dowdle, but Chuba and
uh,
Jonathan Brooks,
I don't. I'm not high on Dowdle. He looked good for 2 games. Two
yes,
games.
yes, and
Two
then the
games.
play calling was,
Well, I don't
horrendous
know.
when it
I
came
don't.
to it.
Well, was it that, or was he hurt? Or I mean, listen,
He should have
Rico.
been hurt. When we used him like they used to use Christian McCaffrey on every play. When
Respectfully
you
though,
have Chuba Hubbard that coulda came in when he was tired. I
respectfully
seen the
though,
way they used him.
I'll just say this about Rico Dowdle. There's a reason why Dallas didn't keep him. There's a reason why we only signed him to a 1 year deal, and
Understandable.
he looked sexy as all get out for 2 games, and then whether it's play calling, whether he was hurt, whether he was gassed, whatever, he just wasn't the same guy after those 2 games as he was those 2 games, and he wasn't a very highly sought after free agent. And he went to Pittsburgh, where I think he's running back number 3. So I don't exactly think that
3?
he's, yeah, I mean, I don't think he's all that in a bag of chips. And
Okay.
so I like our room better. I like Chuba better. I think he's more versatile. I like Jonathan Brooks a lot when he came out of college. Obviously, the young man has had horrible luck and been hurt for 2 years. He
How did he
played
look
today.
today?
Yeah,
How did he look?
it's okay. I mean, he caught a pass in the flat. He had a couple
Any
of decent
sparks?
runs. Was that?
Any sparks?
I saw sparks. I also saw, not a lot of holes for him, and I think the most important thing for him, other than anything that we can talk about, is that he got hit and he got up, and I think that's more important than anything.
Thank you.
Like whether he busted out 20-yard runs or any of that, that doesn't really matter. He got in an NFL football game.
Okay.
He got tackled and he got up. I mean, so to me, that's almost worth more than anything. And so you put those 2 dudes, and then you put AJ Dillon, and now you got 3 really good running backs that I think are pretty good, and they have different skill sets. Dillon's a great 1 yard goal line hammer, and
Right.
and we still have Etienne or however the heck he wants his name pronounced. I'm not sure he makes the team, but he's not horrible. And then you get to probably our deepest room of all, wide receiver. I mean,
Yes.
we have a lot of talent in that room, and I don't know, I just look at that going, man, between obviously T Mac and Jalen Coker are head and shoulders are 1 and 2.
Right.
Leggett is our number 3.
Who do you think
I
is
I
picking up for?
I actually, you know, I like to see him read. I think he's really showing that he could be something special and that he would be our guy there. If he's not ready, I think J.C. Horn is definitely. I mean, not J.C. Horn. I'm sorry. Jimmy Horn Jr. is making a case for himself to be that number 4 guy. So there's a fight there between those two guys.
Quick question:
Yeah,
Was there who was a standout and wide receiver today on our team, if
it
any?
was Reed. It was Reed.
Okay, okay, okay.
And then I think you have to look at John Mechie, as another kind of a dark horse there, to possibly make the team and to do, and he was a high round draft pick coming out of Alabama, where he played with Bryce. Unfortunately, the young man has had horrible luck. He had leukemia, which took him out of the
Yeah,
game for about a year and some change, and then he got back, and then he got hurt his knee right away. So, he hasn't exactly had the best of luck, but he's shown up in both the games so far as looking pretty decent. So, then after that, you have David Moore, who seems to be Dave Canales' security blanket.
hmm.
I could take or leave him. I don't. He doesn't do much for me.
He's not
Um,
much of a security blanket for you, though. I see.
no, it's like, why do they bring this guy on the team to take a roster spot away from someone who's young and could possibly contribute? Um,
Question: There's a rumor going around that our wide receiver Horn might be on the chopping block when the 53-man roster comes up. Is that any truth to that? Do you think? Does that any weight being held to that?
well, sure. I think his roster spot isn't guaranteed. I'll say it
Hmm.
that way. Like, not like he's in danger of being cut. I just don't know if he has a guaranteed spot. But what I've seen these last 2 games, they're using him in kick return. The last 2 games, he's making catches.
Okay.
I'm seeing a lot and reading a lot about his training camp performance. It looks like he's really balling out. I think he's playing himself into guaranteeing his roster spot. Is it guaranteed? It isn't. I think after T Mac, Jalen Coker, Leggett, and after those 3 dudes, honestly, I think it's dealer's choice. After that, those are the only 3 dudes that have a
And T Mac and
guaranteed
Coker
spot.
didn't play today, right?
Well, I don't think they played. I mean, to be honest with you, that we weren't on the field long enough to really
Oh,
really know that.
oh,
But they, I did. There was no passes thrown in their direction, and I'm not sure they were in the game. I didn't necessarily see that. I saw them in the game, but
got
they
it, got
they could have been in the game. I don't. I just don't remember seeing them. But if they played, it was minimal. Let's just say that. But no, I listen. I think at this point, as we sit today, halfway through the preseason, I think Horn Jr. is on the team,
right.
unless he just completely falls apart the next couple of weeks. But
I don't
I
think it's
don't.
much.
I think he's in the. I think he's made the team. I think Reed is definitely going to make the conversation difficult with Dan and Dave,
All right.
which is his job, right? As an undrafted guy that was on the practice squad last year, that's his job, is to make the conversation difficult. But he's being a gunner on the punt team, and he seemingly is playing all the different special teams. So, and I think Mechie's making them really kind of have to think about it. Bryson Tremaine, I don't see what they see in him, so he can go as far as I'm concerned.
Mm,
David Moore is another guy that I've already said I don't hate David Moore. He just isn't. He, to me, he's just a warm body, and maybe we could keep one of the younger guys and develop them, as opposed, he is
okay,
David
okay.
Moore is what he is, and he's not going to be anything more than what he is. But I think these other guys have a chance to be something better. So no, I think that's a deep room. Now our tight ends, I mean, we have a lot of them, and now with Waller coming to the team tomorrow, I think that's going to be an interesting. That means somebody's going out the back door.
Who do you think is starting week 1? Did they pick up Waller for him to be a starter, or is Sanders gonna compete with Waller?
I don't think when you say start on week one, I think that's going to be a mix because I think you're going to see tight ends in game at different formational situations.
Okay.
I don't know that Waller isn't an every down tight end in my opinion, and
Okay.
I don't at this stage in his career especially. So, I think there's going to be still kind of a a merry-go-round there of tight ends, but
Okay.
I don't. How many are we going to keep on our roster? I mean, that's the next question. I mean, are we keeping five? I mean, are we? So
True.
I don't think so. So you
Which
know,
tight end is your favorite tight end so far? I know you haven't seen anything from Waller, who we have so far, and then we'll add the additional Waller, and I'll ask you that
this
on
is
the
the
as
guy
well.
that I think has played better than anybody and consistently better than everybody that nobody talks about, and that's
Right.
Mitchell Evans. Number 84, he made a lot of big catches last year. He was a rookie out of Notre Dame.
Okay.
Like a lower round pick, fifth or sixth round. He played good. I mean, he got his chances. He just didn't get a lot of them.
Right.
I like Saunders a lot. He just hasn't been able to stay on the field healthy. So
Yeah.
to me, as much as I love Tommy Trimble, he seems like a fun guy to go have a beer with. He's been on our team for 4 years, and
And he got picked in the first round.
third round. He was a third round pick.
Third round pick? No, he was a first round pick.
Third round pick.
What year?
Would have been 4 years ago. Third round pick. The year before we got Bryce.
And who was our first round pick that
Matt
year?
Rule was the coach when we
Okay,
drafted him.
okay. No, Tommy Tremble was somebody they were speaking highly of in that draft. Like
Correct.
he should have went higher than
Correct.
them. Okay. Okay, I
Listen,
remember
it's
that.
not that he's horrible. He just hasn't done a lot. I mean, he's made some plays, but he doesn't
It
make
might
enough.
this might just not might not be the team for him.
He just
It
doesn't
might
make
be
enough of them.
yeah,
It's like okay, and like I said, we've talked about it many times, but our tight end productivity is trash. I mean, we have to be one of the worst teams in the NFL from productivity from our tight end. So
exactly.
that's why you sign a Darren Waller,
And the tight end is supposed to be a safety valve for the quarterback when he's having problems, just
which
like the
we
running back.
which we haven't really had. So we have depth on our team, and I think that's the thing that our fans need to focus on,
You hear that,
relax
Carolina?
when
Calm down.
when you're
You heard
watching
what Patrick said? Calm down.
when you're
We
watching
got this.
when you're watching a preseason game, you need to look for that guy that's flashing that you maybe don't really know that much about,
Yeah,
and that you're just like, hey, who's that? That guy's kind of around the ball a lot, or that guy's, he seems to be, making some plays and making some headway, and I just feel like in today's society, and it's hard because then you watch like Buffalo look like world beaters today, and if you watched a lot of other games, you saw, Kansas City put in, Garrett Nussmeier, the quarterback at LSU that everyone thought was going to be a first round draft pick that didn't go until
right.
the fifth round, and he goes out there and looks like the best quarterback in the NFL history of the NFL. The Steelers put in Drew Ayler, another guy that was a fifth, sixth round pick, and he goes and throws for 3 touchdowns and looks like the second coming of Big Ben. But also, that's one game, guys, and they can look like those guys can look horrible next week, and
Exactly.
it's just what the other team's defense decided to do. Just like on offense, you don't want to give away all your plays and formations. On defense, you don't necessarily want to give away all the tricks of your trade, and
We don't
maybe
wanna
you're
show
just
what
trying to get
defense
your
we're gonna be in. We
yeah
wanna be a surprise week 1.
you just
And
maybe you're just
speaking of
putting
week 1, a question that everybody wants to know, Patrick,
yeah, good.
what are we doing week 1 against the Bears?
That's going to be a good game.
And give us a score.
Oof. That's going to be a good game, and that that game is an interesting game for week 1. Two division champions going head to head from last year. We're on the road, so we're going into Chicago. But if you're going to go into Chicago, it's nice not to go in there in the winter. Um, you know, I like our
Be honest.
chances.
Be honest. It's not gonna hurt my
No, I like
feelings.
our chances. I don't like the fact that we're on the road.
Okay.
But the Bears have they have a lot of injuries in their secondary going into the season, so they're gonna be missing some of their big guns on defense for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. So we're gonna kind of catch them at a good time.
Right.
I think we have a good opportunity to come away with a victory there. I'm going to say it's going to be a very, very close game, competitive game. I'm looking like a 24-23 type of game.
Wow. Wow.
It's going to be a tough game for us, but I think we have a chance to win. They're going to be out. They're two starting safeties and a starting corner for the first 3-4 weeks of the season. So, I think we have a chance, but we got to show up and do it. Like one of the highlights that I took away from the game, we got a lot of pressure on Josh Allen without blitzing and without even playing Derek Brown, and playing. And Pat Jones didn't play today, so with Jalen Phillips and Princely just doing straight rush off the edge, we still had 4 sacks. I mean, so that's nothing to sneeze at. That's nothing to just think it's no big deal. The
Right.
fact that we are generating pressure just mano a mano against their ones, against our ones, with no exotic schemes whatsoever. It gives me hope that we might have the ability to generate a little bit more pressure this year, because we didn't really generate much pressure at all last year.
Right.
So I'm hopeful, and I've said it lots of times, and I'll keep saying it. Carolina fans, it's preseason. Uh,
Preseason.
that the record doesn't count on your record. And I think
There's no blemishes after preseason.
there was a
Everybody starts off 0-0.
there was a stat
My
that
prediction: Carolina
yeah,
24, Bears 17.
okay.
Carolina, and I don't think Bryce Young has won the first game of the season yet. This would be his first one.
He has not. There's a stat that I want to point out right here. I'm looking at on my phone, so it's not off the top of my head. But let's see. Teams that have winning records in the preseason, 79% of the time going to have a losing season in the regular season.
Hmm.
So, conversely, teams that have losing preseasons, 64% of the time have a winning season. So
Right.
again, that is a lot of words to say. It doesn't really matter how you perform in preseason. It's
Okay.
just
Okay.
preseason.
Last prediction, just for fun, just for
Sure,
kicks,
sure.
and then we're gonna get up out of here. First 4 games Carolina plays. What's our record after 4 games?
Uh, we have some
Drum roll, please.
we have some interesting games in the first 4 games.
I
So
understand.
so the Bears
Say it
is an
with your
interesting
chest.
game.
Say it with
Uh,
your chest.
no, I think we're gonna be a little bit of a slow starter because our bye is in week 5.
Okay,
So,
okay.
which is very weird. I think we're going to be 2-2 after our first 4 games. I think
I'm claiming 3-1.
I, I
Two and
wanted to
two,
go.
three
I
and
wanted
one.
to go there. I just think we're gonna have a little bit of a slow start, and I think you might see us come out after the bye. They might kind of slowly ease in some things, as the bye is coming so soon, and
Right,
then
right.
coming back out of the bye would be when we really start to pick up some things. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think 3-1 is really, really within our realm and our
Most
possibility.
definite.
And I think 2-2 is definitely the floor there. But I think the most important part to remember for everyone, it's a long season. There's lots of ups and downs, but you're going to see a more competitive version of our team this year. I believe that, and I think our defense is going to be better. They're going to be able to hold leads better. If we put the other team in a position where we have the lead and they have to pass, we have a much better pass rush than we did last year, and I think that's going to be very difficult for teams just to go march down the field like they were able to do to us lots of times last year. So,
And I'm
um,
not gonna sugarcoat things. I'ma say it like I feel. Carolina record 3-1 after the first 4 games. And if we're really balling, be 4-0 after the first 4 games. I'm not gonna go any further because I did another Panthers corner where I went through all our games, and I gave us a 11-win record this season, Patrick.
I, I
11 wins.
I'm standing on 11. I'm standing on 11 myself, and there's
Oh,
there's lots of
beautiful.
there's lots of things that will tell you that, but the most important thing is Dave Canales. and Bryce Young have improved by 3 wins every year.
Great minds think alike. Cali Cat Pack, Roaring Riot, Angel City Riot, stand up. Panther fans everywhere, stand up. This is Panthers Corner, brought to you by Blow the Whistle Sports. Patrick Nagel, Wayne Holloway. We'll see y'all when the season starts. And keep it real. And like we always like to say before we get up out of here,
Keep
keep
pounding,
pounding, baby.
And Brandon Maxwell, I'm looking